Doing anything for a decade, you obviously learn a lot. I've learned a lot over 8 years of selling. I'm almost at the decade point, and I've had a decade of running under my belt, and even longer if I'm going to be honest. I think my first memory of running was the Hershey track meet in first grade, and I got into the final 8-man seed. I think I ran once or twice to get to that, and I took second place by like a fraction of a second, and it was, just this close. And I remember talking to the kid afterwards who beat me. Cool kid, Carson. We were really good friends for a long time after that. And I just was super Mormon at the time. I'm not anymore, but we were chatting afterwards, and he had his group of friends surrounding him. He was just dropping F-bombs. I was like, oh, I don't like this guy. Because at the time, I was resistant to swearing, and now I say fuck all the time. So here we are, full circle. But that's my first vivid memory. I just think I've really consistently ran over the last 4 or 5 years, and I was kind of dabbling with running before that. In high school, I would go for runs after wrestling practice. And I want to give you some things that I've learned, and really more so it's just a mindset, and I think this has a lot to do with patience, and I find as I get older, spend more time thinking about things, the cliches are a cliche for a reason, and there's this theme of being patient, right? Being patient. And I think the theme really is for me as I reflect on 10 years or more of running, the theme is you overestimate what you can do in a year and you underestimate what you can do in 40 years. I think I first heard this from Tony Robbins. And I think this is very true because week to week, it doesn't seem like you're changing a lot when you're consistent with things. You can't do 5 workouts 2 times a week and have all the change you want, right? But if you were to do that for 10 years or 40 years, you're a different person. And I think that is me with running. Like, I understand it on such an intimate level, and I still feel like there's so much more to understand. And so you have to be patient with things. And it's tricky for me because I think, well, am I going to want this or like this for 10 years from now or 40 years from now? Is it worth it to dive into this? But I think you really only figure that out if you try and you give it a fair shake and you dive into it and you think about long term, but you don't think about it, right? Like, that's a thing, but that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you love it, right? I'm not thinking I know 40 years from now I still want to be able to run. I want to at least have it as an option, right? But I'm not thinking about that when I'm running. I'm running because I love running. And so the patience with anything, this is why I love running so much, is the things you learn through training and races and being consistent and hard work, you copy and paste into real life in real time. It's just right away. To see who I was in first grade running to now after setting a couple of course records and running 10 marathons in 10 days and just doing these crazy ultra events, and just being more fit, I just realized that the journey was so enjoyable, and there were so many things I learned. And if it weren't for the 10 years of running, I wouldn't have the wealth of knowledge and understanding for running, at least for myself. And that's another thing, is like, I might understand running in such an intimate way and believe something for myself, and it's just not true for someone else who's a runner. And that's what's cool. It's such a personal journey. It's like some people don't do well with strength training and some people do. Like, I think everyone should do it, but the point being, like, we just find our ways when we dive and look within. And I think that's the theme is we're underestimating what we can do over a long period of time. And it's worth it if you give it a fair shake. And maybe you stick with something for a little bit and then you don't keep at it. Like pickleball. I was really obsessive over pickleball for a year, and then I just moved on, right? Like, I just had other things I wanted to do. And so I think if there's something I love or you love, I think you should focus on loving it, right? And over years, you'll be able to look back and see what happened. And so long term that there's going to be something crazy that you see or understand differently than at the beginning. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it because you love it. And that's the enjoyable part. It's about the journey. Now, if you want a very easy, quick tip that's like a little bit more tangible and physical and you're getting into running, zone 2 running is where it's at. That's what keeps you healthy. So I would look more into that. I've done videos on this, but also just Google zone 2 running and how to calculate your heart rate zones. I think that keeps you healthy over the long term when it comes to running. So if you like videos on running and strength training and working out and things like that, feel free to subscribe. If not, man, that's totally fine too. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon.